Alright, okay, so there's a lot of tutorial videos on YouTube showing you creating tips that claim to make you a better Geometry Dash creator, but only help you to like a tiny amount. Ignore the fact that 2 of them are my fault. But no amount of 83 easy tips videos will help you understand the fundamentals of what makes a level good. For example, I can sit here all day and explain that you should never make this kind of spider gameplay, or do the opposite of whatever Wabu tells you to do, but it wouldn't help you understand why those things are good or bad. So no more procrastinating, no more one-offs. We are going to make a Mythic level together. So the first thing we're going to do is go down to this new button in the bottom corner, and the next thing we're going to do is quit GD and log into Hypixel. I made that last part up, but in all seriousness, there actually is a lot we need to do before we even open the editor. And there's a lot of questions that we need to answer first. For example, what song should I use? What difficulty should it be? What style level should I make? How long should it be? You know, and stuff like that. Now, you've probably heard before that Geometry Dash levels are something like a form of art, but it is also, obviously, a video game. So we should look to the principles of both game design and artistic values as a guide through how to make the best level we can possibly make. And I'm sure that the principles of these two things will totally not clash at all, ever, whatsoever. Now this is actually a really good thing, because it means we can draw from other forms of art as a hint whenever we get stuck creating. Before I begin building a level, I like to get an idea of what the level I want to build is going to look like. Now, it's totally okay to start with absolutely no idea of what your final product will look like. In fact, many famous artists like Bob Ross and Woolsey do this and still create very impressive works. But it's important to remember that these people are not trying to 100% maximize the quality of their work, more so just trying to enjoy the process of creating for its own sake, which is totally okay. The last thing about GD being an art form is that every time I bring up a step or a rule, there will always be exceptions. If I say a color combination is bad for a specific theme or certain objects are not good, there's always going to be a way to make something good with those. The point is that they're harder to use and usually detract from whatever you're trying to do as opposed to something else. So in this episode, we are going to start on pre-planning for our level. By that I mean we're going to do everything we need to do before we open the editor. I do a lot of this in my head normally, but in this case I'm going to write it down so it's easier to explain what I'm doing. And you can also feel free to write it down if it helps. If this is your first time doing something like this, I would recommend writing it down just so you can get a feel for the process. Even if you don't write this stuff down, please at least, watch the video, because it will be important to keep in mind while you're building. Also, I need watch time. I have not uploaded a video in, probably a month by the time you're seeing this. Now, step 1 of, I have no idea how many, I have not decided yet. Wow, I really planned this out really well. So we're going to decide what the vibe of our level is going to be. This consists of 3 main things: theme, atmosphere, and style. Now let's start with the one most people are familiar with: theme. Now this is almost always a noun that, for lack of a better term, is what the level is about, and the decoration and, to a looser extent, gameplay centers itself around. Now any noun could work as a theme of your level. Pirate level, tech level, hell level, Dwayne The Rock Johnson level, all of these have been done before. Anything you can think of can work. Now, not every level has a theme. Most feature levels are more of what I call abstract, where their deco is just kind of exists as deco and isn't really a depiction of anything. Most effect, glow, and modern levels fall into this category, and if they have a theme, it's very subtle. Now, I should probably take this moment to clarify that there is a difference between levels that don't have theme and levels that are deliberately themed around abstract art. For example, Nelv's deco isn't really of anything, but Nelv still very clearly has a theme, as opposed to most feature levels that don't consider theming at all and just have deco for the sake of it. Now, I won't say a level needs a theme to be good, but out of 20 Mythic levels so far, every single one of them has had very obvious and intentional theming. Skeletal Shenanigans is a skeleton level, Final Orbit is a space level, Next Cab Soon is an urban city level, and Aperture is a paper level pretending to be a space level. But how do we go about picking one? Well, I'm assuming you probably already have if you're watching this, but if you're still having trouble, try thinking of levels that you like, or try listening to music. And I'll even make a list of a ton of themes you can pick from right here. Now, most creators have a pretty easy time picking a theme, but sometimes they paint themselves into a corner because they pick a really super specific theme and then they don't have enough ideas to work with, or they pick a super broad theme and then when they try to fit all of their ideas in a level, it just all becomes a jumbled mess. So if you're having too few or too many ideas, you can try changing the scope of your theme. So like if your theme is space, you might want to narrow that down to a single star or planet. Or maybe you decided to theme your level around comets and all of a sudden you're out of ideas. In that scenario, I would change my theme to something like the Oort cloud, which is where comets come from. Also, you should always do some research into your theme, because that can give you more to work with, or you can find a through line that helps you bring all of these ideas together. Okay, so next up is atmosphere. Now, unlike theme, every level has an atmosphere. It's just a matter of how well it's executed. Now, when you hear atmosphere, you probably think of calmer levels, but my theory for why people say all of the calm levels have atmosphere is because it's much harder to make a calm level on accident. Now, atmosphere is a bit nebulous, but it basically means the emotion that your level is trying to get across. It can be intense, sad, lonely, inspiring, abandoned, passionate. Now, it might seem useless to try and pick something that you can't even define, but all of these fan favorite levels have a really good atmosphere, so it's worth making the effort. The other difference from theme is that atmosphere usually changes between different parts of the level. For example, the drop, build-up, pre-drop, and ending of a level could all feel completely different. Now, I only go off of 2.5 questions when I'm picking an atmosphere, and that is, what do I feel when I imagine my level, and what do I want players to feel when they play my level? And based off of those answers, the correct choice usually becomes obvious. Style, by comparison, is so easy to objectify that people have already made lists and then tier lists of styles. But my problem with those videos is that they don't actually explain what a style is. A theme is what you're creating, and a style is how you're doing it. For example, I can say I want to draw an apple, and an apple would be my theme, and then the medium of art that I choose to do it in would be my style. Now, really, every creator has their own style that is a mixture of levels that they like and levels they've made and styles they like and styles that they've made, but you will see and hear a few main styles thrown around, such as modern, glow, 1.0/layout, 1.9, 9 circles, realistic, art, design, core, effect, pixel, minigame, movie, and more. But don't bother memorizing these. Styles can come and go over time, and the reason something is a style is because most people say it is. For example, 2003 Devon made art levels that were so different from other art levels that people just call it Devon style. And realism wasn't considered a style until late 2.1, after a bunch of realism levels had been made. And all of these styles have their own sub-styles, and they can also mix with any other style or sub-style, and you can pick and or invent any combination of styles that you want to use for your level. And now we're at the part of the process where a lot of people mess up, because they pick a style that does not mesh well at all with the atmosphere they're trying to build. While there is no such thing as a bad style, there is a such thing as a bad style for the thing you want to make.
Okay, to demonstrate the point, what is the problem most people have with 1.0 levels? I would argue that one of them is that almost any 1.0 level would be way better off if it wasn't a 1.0 level. So those levels would be better in another style. Now what I'm saying is that this can be true for any level, not just 1.0 levels. Your main goal should be to pick a style, so when people see your level, they don't think it would be better if it was made in a different one.
Imagine if Undertale, or Minecraft, or Silksong, because that came out like 2 days ago as I'm recording this. Imagine if any of those games were in a hyper-realistic art style. They would be objectively worse games because of it. And that doesn't make realism bad, it just makes realism a bad choice for those games. There are good 1.0 style levels made in the modern day, but can you point to any of those levels that wouldn't have been better if they were made in any other style? The reason stylized levels are good is because they do things that can't be done in any other style. Any good 1.0 style creator will have a unique spin on the style, or at least pretend that they do, and everyone believes them. Anyway, my advice is to pick the style that actually adds the most to your atmosphere. It's better to have different aspects of your level work with each other instead of constantly fighting an uphill battle while creating. And you'll know you've done a good job when people can't imagine your level in any other style. Okay, this is all well and good, but what am I going to pick for my level? Personally, I'm very disappointed in my Space Gauntlet entry, which has still not been rated after 9 sends. What the hell, Rob Top? No, but seriously, there actually is a lot that could be improved. The gameplay is atrocious, it's in general very unpolished. It had really good ideas for the time, but it was rushed so much that it devolved into a compilation of space art and bad gameplay. So for this tutorial series, I will be remaking it from the ground up, which you should be able to deduce that this will be space themed. But more specifically, this level was themed around the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxy collision. As for the atmosphere this level was trying to go for, I wanted to invoke the feeling that you get during a total solar eclipse, which if you've ever seen one, you know is unlike anything else in the world. And in my personal opinion, I think the best style to do this in is with a mix of glow and realism, which also happens to be the style that I'm best at. Now, the original only took up about 19% of the song's length, more on that later, and I'm planning to use the full song this time, so I'm going to need more theme ideas to fill the entire level. So I'm going to take my own advice and expand my theme to include all galaxy collisions, and the part of the song using the original will be used for the Milky Way Andromeda collision. Songs! How do we pick one? Well, my hot take is that the most important thing about picking a song is that it matches the atmosphere and theme as well as it possibly can. Having a good song that's fun to listen to is important, but it's not as important as having a song that fits with the level's theme and atmosphere. Just look at Rash or Sterile as an example of this. Another useful thing to do when picking a song is to always imagine your level with a song, even if on your first listen it doesn't seem like it would fit. Like, when I listen to Drift by Creo, I do not think of oxidized copper, but it worked for a Geometry Dash level, and it ended up getting weakly. It is also possible you just haven't heard the best song for your level yet. Now, since I'm a massive nerd who listens to nerdcore and Newgrounds music for fun, I never had this problem. But if you're having trouble finding a song, your first idea might be to search on Newgrounds. And this can work, but Newgrounds is not Spotify, and searching for specific music on Newgrounds can be very difficult. Which is why in most cases I just look at the Sent tab until a level uses a song that I like. Not only is it less boring than scrolling on Newgrounds, but it also filters for songs that people have already successfully used. The obvious drawback, however, is that you will only ever find a song that someone else has already used. In the extreme case, you can make your own song for a level, but most people don't do that because it's very hard. Also, you have to know how to make music. Some people are musically inclined like that. I'm not. Okay, but what about a Nong song? Oh, Nong means not on Newgrounds for the uninitiated. Now, if you care about rates, then probably not. None of the Mythics have Nongs, and Nongs have consistently lowered the rates of levels that are otherwise very high quality. There's nothing wrong with a Nong from an art standpoint, but you are making it so most mobile players and lazy people won't get the full experience of your level. This is less of an issue if your level is super hard, but don't make your level super hard just because it uses a Nong. And then, after that, there's more copyright stuff to worry about because the very definition of a Nong means that it is not approved for Geometry Dash use. Overall, I would avoid using a Nong unless your level seriously cannot work well with anything else. Okay, so back to my level. The original used the Falling Mists by DimRain47, and I thought about using a Nong for the remake, but I decided against it because the atmosphere wouldn't have been the same. So I'm going to stick with the Falling Mists for now, and as I mentioned earlier, I will be using the entirety of the song. That's right, 5-minute Mythic level, baby, who's ready for it? Okay, now the Falling Mists is a very dramatic song, and those 5 minutes actually add to the build-up, and the only reason the original wasn't a full length was because of the Gauntlet deadline. Now, I shouldn't end the video without mentioning composition, but I'm not going to go in depth here because that is way more advanced than this video needs to be, and also the number of levels that have composition as a main issue is a pretty short list. 99% of creators who have never heard of composition still manage to do it just fine. Now, a better and more consistent YouTuber would have put difficulty at the end of the video, but this is already the highest effort video I've made and I haven't even started talking. And now that we have our theme, atmosphere, style, song, and composition decided on, we can finally open our editor and start building. Thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. This is by far my most high effort one yet. Please share the video if you enjoyed it, because I see all of these supportive comments, and thank you for them, but we need more people to join the botnet. and subscribe to the channel to inflate my ego and be ready for the next episode where I talk about gameplay. If you have any questions, you can join the Discord or ask them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.